Javier, really appreciate you joining us today. And you've been a champion for low code, no code, citizen automation for a long time. Maybe you could just share a little bit of your journey at major Fortune 500 companies, how you've really driven this.
Yeah, look, it's been exciting, and you really seen the growth and understanding from the Coca-Cola days to the Procter and Gamble days to now with the Mondelez family, right? And you're seeing the shifts, and how you have to build ambassadors in the enterprise and the adoption as there more awareness, right? Gartner's informing us that in a few years, 70% of all apps will be low code, no code. And I think we talk a race for talent, but it's a race to that positioning because you really enable the edges of the business to be a lot more productive and a lot more agile.
But you're progressive, you're a thought leader, you're at the front of this. I mean, there's a lot of times there's a struggle between sort of an IT group that has responsibility for security and reliability and governance of things like applications and data. And then on the other, this people at the edge, people in the business, they want to move fast. They need to be responsive and build apps and automate. How do you reconcile these sometimes conflicting, different perspectives?
Yeah, look, and I have the privilege of the complication to own all those pieces, right? Listen, if you can't empower the edge of the business, we cannot cover the sun with our thumb. There's just too much demand for IT, right? And you really need to empower the edges of the business. And the way that we do this is we build a framework. It's a very clear framework, and there's freedom in that framework. Go learn hands-on keyboard with low-code, no-code tools like Quickbase. Here's your data repositories. You manage the data at the edges of the business. You're going to decide what data sources are going to come in and out at the edges of the business. And get hands-on keyboard, use Quickbase, get your insights, and go to market as fast as you can.
You've got a lot of people that aspire to do what you've done in organizations like Mondelez. And so, I want to talk a little bit about how you've been successful doing this. Like, is this just you rock up one day and say, boom, we're doing citizen development, or is it more of a phase thing? What have you found is the best approach?
Well, look, there's certainly, you have to create awareness, right? And you have to basically have ambassadors. And we always know those business leaders that are business partners that really lean forward on technology and really want to digitize. And once you identify them, you leverage them. You bring them in, you make them very knowledgeable on the platforms and the strategies that they go and build it inside of their functions, And I'll give you a simple example. I was talking about this to the executive team. And, when you hear the CEO talking about low code, no code and referring to Quickbase, you've made progress. But the greatest progress is when one of the executive vice presidents of supply chain says, hey, how come nobody's come and talked to me about this? Because you built this in sales and you built this in finance. And how about me? And sees the power of it. And then later on starts talking about low code, no code. You've won that understanding or that challenge and make sure that the business is aware and more importantly, aware of the capability. And, you can build these things in weeks.
You guys are really also at the forefront of leveraging the power of communities of practice and code repositories and across facilities around the world. Like, talk a little bit about that, because that really is cutting edge.
Yeah, look, besides enabling the edges of the business with these technologies, right? How do you build a common repository that everybody could go to and say, I may be in sales in EMEA, and I may be sales in Latin America, and those markets are somewhat similar. Let me go see what they did for their sales function in Latin America, because I have a need also. And then you go and see what's been built. You take that, maybe it's only 70 or 80%, but that's 3/4 of the work. And then you just build an extension to it or modify it as to what you need in EMEA. And then you really start getting greater velocity. So you have the author, the business function that built it, and the use case that it was built for. So now, no different than coders over the last 5-10 years have been using GitHub and other platforms, right? I joke around with the developers of today and the data scientists saying, writing code now and algorithms is easier. You guys go to the library, it's 70% done. And then I date myself. I had to write in COBOL. I had to start from scratch. So, but anyway, it's that idea, right? And it's worked really, really well for us.
That's fantastic. I heard an expression that code is a liability, that there's so much inherent risk in it. And the more we can get to standardize and visual and democratize, the better. So listen, I can't thank you enough for joining us today and your advocacy for Quickbase and for the category in general. It's just fantastic what you're doing at Mondelez, and we're grateful. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, Ed. It's always a pleasure to be with you guys. And thank you for these tools that you're driving through the industry. It's making a big change for a lot of companies.